This video is made possible by donations to the United States Lighthouse Society from people like you.
Pretty cool.
And the kids themselves who were out here, they would be rowed back and forth from the island over to Loblolly Cove, so it's about 3/4 of a mile to row out there. And they had arrangements in inclement weather that they would stay with someone ashore. They had a piece of pond and subsequently, we switched over to, as I say, to solar power, and we have propane out here for the high-intensity utilization, like the water heaters, cooking stove, and the gas refrigerators too.
Awesome. Very cool. Interesting. I was wondering how everything was powered out here before. Mm-hmm. Solar panels and all that.
Yeah, and the solar panels, actually, they work pretty well, but the limitation with the solar panels is battery storage. So if you have a number of cloudy days, eventually your solar panels will not provide enough, and the batteries can't capture enough, so you run them down. We are putting in another battery of solar panels out here to have more capture and hopefully have more solar power out here. Always impressed by the brickwork here.
How do you like the view?
This is incredible. See everything, even on foggy day. It's interesting to see all of the pathways below too, and what they're leading to.
Yeah.
So did you start out as a volunteer here, or did you have a more formal job?
Well, when it started out, there was Ned Cameron, who was in charge of the Thacher Island Town Committee. To clarify that, there are two entities. One is the Thacher Island Town Committee. That was formed by the selectmen at the behest of Ned Cameron to function as the overseers and caretakers of the island and as the selectmen's agents. Subsequently, he created the Thacher Island Association, which is the fundraising and philanthropic group to support the island, and has become basically the public face of Thacher Island. So there's two entities, both of them are pretty much mixed up and jumbled together, so it's hard to sort them out. But initially, there were just a few people who came out and volunteered. I came out with Ned in '86, I think it was. At that time, there were a few trails. There was one from the boathouse to the North Tower, and one from the house to the South Tower and the road in between. So there were islands was wanting trails for more able to get people around. So we fired up a brush whacker. A brush whacker is like a weed whacker, but it has this mean old sucker of a saw on the end, and you can use that for cutting brush and heavier stuff. And Ned and I walked out to a place, and he said, well, how about a trail there? So fired it up, jumped off into the briar patch, and had to cut my way out, and been doing it ever since.
So obviously a ton has been done in the meantime all over the island. I mean, there's tons of trails and different things going on, and on a day like today there seems to be a lot of volunteers. Are they seasonal? What do you call them, and what's going on today?
They are a really variegated collection of people. They come from all kinds of backgrounds, and we don't have any particular requirements other than someone comes out if they like it and they're willing to do something that they feel they're capable of with some oversight if necessary, then they're encouraged to do it. And we've collected over the years probably a cadre of maybe 30-some volunteers. And on any one Wednesday, there'll be, well, today there's about 22 people out here today doing different projects. And that includes, right now, they're re-roofing one of the L's on the assistant keeper's house. They are putting doors on the boathouse, and they are putting in the infrastructure for a whole new setup of panels for the electric system out here. Right where we are, this is the Whistle House. This was built back in 1880s or so. There were a number of variations out here, but this is the most recent one. This was operating until the Coast Guard left it, and then they put in an automatic system up by the South Tower, and that was now replaced by a radio mechanism. It doesn't run all the time, but if someone goes by with a boat and they need to know where the foghorn is or where they may be, they can go on a channel and activate the foghorn by themselves for about a half hour. So that is the newest iteration of where we are. But this particular building was really beat up in the no-name storm, 91. We're about 30 feet above the ocean here at mid-tide, and this whole wall here, which is brick, was blown out by the waves.
So shifting gears to the island itself, Thacher Island, where does it get the name Thacher from?
A misadventure back in 1634. There was an Anthony Thacher preacher in Ipswich with his cousin, who was also a preacher. Avery was their last name. And they were going to go from Ipswich to was it Salem? I think it was Salem, to take up a ministry there. They went out mid-August 1834, perfectly nice day, except beyond the horizons and before there was weather forecasting, there was a hurricane. Hit them, the wait and watch was wrecked off the rocks here. Thacher and his wife washed ashore here. The other 18-odd people on board all drowned. And he was here with his wife for a few days, subsequently found by fishermen and taken ashore. And this is where I find it a little difficult, but the history is that the colonial legislature, to recompense him for his loss, gave him the island, and hence it became Thacher Island. T-H-A-C-H-E-R, not a T.
Leads me to my next question, just about accessibility to the island, if it's open to the public, climbing the towers, all of that, and the tourism and the attraction of the island, and how people can access and find information about visiting the Twin Lighthouses and Thacher Island.
Okay. The 2/3 of the island is owned by the town of Rockport, so it's public land, just as a park would be, or walking down the sidewalk. So anyone can come out to the island and visit just as they can access any public property in Rockport. The difference is because you are isolated and because of the difficulty accessing it on the ramp in the winter, we have the island closed, which means trespass at your own risk because it's hard to get out here. That said, the island is accessible by your own boat. There's some public moorings out there. There's 4 public moorings. It is accessible by kayak, and that's how many people get out here. And the most trafficked area is via the Thacher Island Association launch, which is run by the volunteers, and you can get reservations on that for Wednesdays, Saturdays, Tuesdays to Straitsmith, and because we've had to cancel a number of trips out here, we've put in some extra Thursdays to the island for the rest of the month.